The #1 rated tire and wheel coverage anywhere, starting at $180 per year. Visit thervadvisor.com today.
This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. My name is Tom Alexander, and my guests today from Fifth Wheel Living. It is Kirsten and Devin. They're speaking to us from right near Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, folks. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. This is really cool. I just got hipped to your Instagram page. I'm looking around at some of the photos and some really cool stuff. And I should point out that it's Kirsten's tiny home, and all the decor that you do and in RVs. And wow, I'll tell you, some of these pictures. This is some fancy stuff. I mean, it is really, really impressive design. How did you got to tell me, how did you get into this? Was this a lifelong passion of interior decorating and that kind of stuff? Is this something?
No.
No?
It's a very learn as you go. I've changed the look in my fifth wheel. Now we're in a toy hauler. I've changed it so many times to find where I wanted it. Yeah. And I just see so many different things, so many different places.
So many times.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, I like that. And I just keep switching things until I find exactly what I like. So
yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, it doesn't look like you don't have any idea what you're doing, because these are some great pictures. And Devin, you said you can back it up that there's been a lot of trial and error, huh?
Yeah. She's gone through a lot of different, I don't want to call it phases, because it's not phases, but she's redecorated the house in one thing and then redone it in a whole different thing, leaving one thing from the last thing. So we're just kind of a collection of things.
So there's always a little bit of a connection or a link to the past, and then on to the next thing.
Yeah. It's kind of a boiling pot of styles.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right. It's like an artist's evolution, right? Musicians have, well, I was doing this in this period, or I was doing that in that period, and then I got rid of the guitar, and I decided to play piano, and so that's really cool. So some great shots here. And if you go to if you're on Instagram and you go to fifth_wheel_living, that's where you'll find their page, and you can join and be one of the 27,000 plus.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's growing all the time. Let me ask you, does it surprise you? Does it surprise you a little bit that when you said this morning, or you woke up and you said, oh wow, I'm at 27,000.
Yeah.
Does that surprise you? Did you ever think that when you're doing this, and just kind of really having fun with it, maybe call it a serious hobby, that it would evolve into, having a lot of followers and a lot of people checking you guys out?
No, I had no idea that it would get even past 5,000. I was hoping, I
remember when the first few months when she got past 100 followers.
I'm like, I have 100.
She was like, holy crap, I have 100 followers. This is so cool.
They're watching what we're doing.
Yeah, but that hasn't changed with 27,000. She'll get up and be excited about every last one of them that follow her.
Yeah,
which is really cool to watch.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's great. Now, so you're near Nashville, just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Is that sort of a home base for you guys, or do you move around a lot with the fifth wheel? Tell us about that.
Well, we're actually stationary. We first got the fifth wheel in 2017, decided to just pick up and go from Delaware to Nashville to pursue music. And my husband's a musician. Yeah. And we just got here and we've been stationary. It's to beat the cost of living, and we've been really saving so much money. A lot of my friends are paying around $2,000, $2,500 a month, and
for a room, which is smaller than most campers.
Yeah, and so we have stayed around 500 with rent, including electricity. So we've been very fortunate with this lifestyle. I'm definitely happy we chose it, especially when COVID hit. So.
Yeah, that's terrible. I hear that you've got another member of the family there in the background.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear.
Our furry
like,
friend.
Well, they're trying to play. They chose right now to decide to wake up and be energetic.
We have
That's
3
okay.
dogs.
No, listen, that's okay. That's a standard on this program. We have a lot of folks come on and they've got dogs, cats, birds, rabbits, you name it. And it's always part of it, and we love that. Not
you can do it when you're tiny living.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's funny. You honestly sometimes see more pets when people tiny live. They get more pets than when they have like big houses.
Yeah. It's a phenomenon we'll have to explore.
Yeah, it's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Get the science behind that and see what the stats are.
Yeah.
Well, listen. I'll tell you what. We want to find out a whole lot more. Let's take a quick break and find out about what's next and what designs are coming. And also, I want to learn a little bit about your music, Devin, there in Nashville. I'm curious to hear about that. So we'll do that on the flip side. We'll be back here in just a moment. I'm speaking with Kirsten and Devin, and they are from Fifth Wheel. 1 second, I just blew that. Fifth Wheel Living. There we go. Okay, now we got it. Still a little early for me.
Hey, you can call us anything you want, just not late for dinner.
I'm a night owl. Fifth Wheel Living. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. We'll be back in just a moment.
RV owners and those thinking about owning want to maximize the fun and minimize the hassle of buying an RV? You need GPS. It's Gigi's personal service. Our $350 package gets you me, the expert advice, and a host of outstanding services. Visit thervadvisor.com.
We are back on the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. My guests are Kirsten and Derek, and they're from Fifth Wheel Living. And so Kirsten, let me ask you, do people consult you a little bit when they see what you're doing with your Fifth Wheel? They see the kind of they see the kind of work that you're doing. Do they say, I mean, I see that you were mentioned in Wall Street Journal, among other publications. Do they say to you, hey, can you help me with an idea? I'm thinking about this. What's your take? What's your spin on this? Did you ever hear from folks like that?
Yes, I do. When I do, I'm like, you want my opinion? I'm like, you want my opinion? I don't even know what I'm doing. I change my mind so much what I'm doing. So yeah, I do try to help out whenever I can. I get a lot of people that say, like, your place is nicer than my house. I'm like, that is so nice. Like, that's like, because I live in a camper, and of course we consider it our tiny home. So when people say that, it's a huge compliment. And when asking for advice and stuff or decor design, it's a huge compliment as well.
Yeah. Are you thinking about a new design right now? Like, what's coming up? Like, you got something in the queue?
Well, we actually just went from a fifth wheel to a toy hauler, so we're still remodeling this one, and it's just about done. We're still making some tweaks here and there, but I finally found like almost like everything how I want it right now. We'll see what happens like in a couple of months.
That's kind of the thing about remodeling like campers is you almost, I mean, things come out super cool, but you almost do a lot of things out of necessity. Like what would be the easiest and most like conducive thing to living in a small space, and it's like, where can we put stuff?
Now we're in an 18-foot camper. We were in the fifth wheel for 2.5 years, and then we sold it a couple months ago, got a toy hauler, and that fifth wheel was around like the 400 square feet, I think, and then this is an 18-foot camper. And so I didn't change my name, even though it's fifth wheel living. We don't live in a fifth wheel. I don't know if I ever go back to fifth wheel, but we're definitely going to keep the camper life. But I kept that name because I've had it for about, I think, 25,000 followers. So I don't want to,
might confuse them, throw them off. What?
Actually,
what the heck just happened here? We just got smaller.
I had someone comment, "You don't live in a fifth wheel." I'm like, I did. It's still on my profile.
We always
That's
joke.
that's a secret.
Yeah.
I'm just ready. Yeah, I hear
There's
you.
5 of us.
Yeah,
though.
we always joke there's 5 of us,
There's
and
3
one of us
dogs.
is always the 5th wheel.
Yeah, I say it's Devin.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
usually
there you
the 5th
go.
wheel. in
It's
the
me
house.
and the dogs.
All right. So, it's interesting because, tiny living, as it's called, is so popular. It's becoming, it was popular before COVID, before the pandemic hit. And as the last year sort of has unfolded, we've seen more and more people, sometimes by necessity, other times by desire to be safe and whatever, they're discovering that this
Yeah.
kind of life is pretty
Doable.
nice.
Yeah,
it's
livable.
Yeah, I
simple,
mean-
and it's
Yeah, I think a lot of people just looked at tiny houses and thought they were cool, which are also super expensive too.
Yeah.
I think people just didn't realize, like I didn't realize what a 5th wheel was. It's just like a tiny house, except easier to move and costs less depending on what type of rig you get.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's definitely becoming more of a trendy thing and more of a necessity because of COVID. So a lot of people are going into it, and sadly, RV places are hiking up the prices because they're high in demand now. So
Yeah,
they-
you can't
they-
hardly buy a new one anymore. I mean, if you do, you're on a waiting list for months.
yeah,
it's the demand is unbelievable, and we've seen it. At the RV Advisor, we've most certainly seen, an increase in, like you said, the demand, and also just it's in places to stay, and everybody is, well, I guess you could say everybody's benefiting, but everybody's also feeling like, wow, we have room to go somewhere. It's
Yeah.
gotten that big. It's literally gotten that big. Hey, Devin, I wanted to ask you about your music. I find it fascinating that you're a full-time musician, a guy that plays on records and tours, and studio guy, and all that. You play guitar, and you told me you do background vocals. That life, is I know it's a blast, but it's also a lot of hard work too.
Yeah.
But you couldn't be in a better spot, right there outside of Nashville, where the music, there's so much music in Nashville. And it's interesting because although I know country music is the, the big papa there, but as far as,
Yeah.
but there's so much other stuff going on musically, and the level of musicianship is incredible. It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
Tell me a little bit
unbelievable.
about a day, a week, whatever for you. Like like, hey, you get called into a session or you get called into a tour. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what week you're talking about, because it could be a week where there's nothing's happening, which more recently has been the case. But it's usually for and this was one of the reasons I wanted to move to I love the Nashville vibe, is because I love country music, and a week for a touring Nashville guitarist looks like you get 2 or 3 days off at the front of the Tuesday, Wednesday, and you usually bust out Wednesday night. You're gone for 4 days, play 4 shows or three nights, and you're back to do it all over again. You're back for spend time with your family, do what you got to do at home, and it's great because she's been out a couple of times with me, and it's a lot easier to do that when in an environment like Nashville, because it's so family oriented, and people love to have family and wives out on the road. And we've brought not our dogs, but we've brought dogs out on the road. The guy that I tour with, his dog Ryder has been out several times, and people love having dogs on the bus, and it's a family environment here.
It sure sounds it. And I know that it is probably one of the most inclusive genres of, people are, it's like people are really accessible. They want to connect with the fan base. It's,
Yeah.
it's a very, very cool thing. And
Well, so basically in Nashville, there's a saying among the artists that is start with the fan and work backwards.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing familial feeling, just even in town when there's a lot of coffee meetings that happen,
mm-hmm.
and you meet with people, and it's not like it's almost like you're doing just dozens and dozens of job interviews, but it's not looked at like that. You know what I mean? You're starting relationships, you're beginning friendships, and out of those friendships, they'll say, hey, come on, we need a sub for this weekend, or we need this. And you start getting those calls, but the first time I had ever been on a tour bus in Nashville, we were living in Delaware, and I had grown up with the drummer. So it was like, we already had that family connection, and that was a call. He just gave me a call and was like, would you want to come out to Nashville and do a show with us? And I was like, yeah. So it was, I started learning that early on, and I was like, man, this is such a family-based environment, and people are always, and he was like, come stay, you can stay with me and my wife, you can sleep, we got a spare bedroom. And I'm like, man, your wife's cool with this? I've never even met her.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, it really is, it is familial, and I'd like to think it's like that across all music and everything. And in many ways it is, but I know that Nashville, the Nashville scene and country music in general has a very, very, open arms, inclusive kind of vibe. And that's fantastic. So you said at the top, Kirsten, that it's a sort of a stationary thing for obvious reasons. You're there, and Derek's there to do music and everything. But do you plan at all taking that camper out sometime in the not too distant future and getting some places? Taking it in.
Frozen.
Yeah, we got a truck so that we can pull it around on like the days that we have off. And that we have a nice stretch together, because we live in Tennessee, so like there's so many places that we want to go. Yeah, like Pigeon Forge or something close, and not too far. I mean, we live in Tennessee, so like all the beautiful places are here. I feel like super close.
Yeah, it's a good spot, because you're in the South, but the Northeast isn't that far, and heading west isn't that far. It's an interesting spot. It's sort of centrally located to a lot of cool dots on the map, if you will.
Yeah, about the same. I mean, very similar amounts of time. You can get just about anywhere. Either way.
Yeah. That's terrific. And last question for you, Derek. You going to be joining any one major tour coming up, or any kind of a big thing?
We do. So we do a Wednesday night show every week. Since we're not touring right now, but we do. It's a live stream every Wednesday that we do from the artist's barn. And it's full production, multi cameras, full band most weeks. Some weeks we do just acoustic. He'll break it down with one of us. But we do that every week, and he's got, I do believe he's got some shows on the books for this year already.
Yeah.
But we're kind of waiting,
can you share with us who that is?
Yeah. His name is Drake White, but the band is Drake White and the Big Fire.
All right. And so this live streams, it can be seen by us mere mortals.
You can check out all the past ones on like YouTube, and I think they're still up on Facebook, but they're all still up on YouTube.
And his Instagram too.
Excellent. Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, we certainly have to do another one of these and see where everything's going for both of you next. This is very interesting stuff. I love it. Fifth Wheel Living. Once again, folks, it is if you go to Instagram, you can go to _wheel_living, And that's where you'll find Kirsten and Derek and join the big family of 27,000 followers. And you can see it all and see what they're doing. You can see what Kirsten's doing in this amazing camper that is, become their tiny living, which is, it's pretty cool. And if I ever get to Nashville one of these days, I'll, you might get knock on the
Come
door.
on.
Yes.
Come on.
And it's like stop by for a coffee or something,
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Well,
Seriously.
listen, folks, I can't tell you, I had a terrific time talking to both of you. It's so interesting. What a cool life you guys are living. And
Thank you.
yeah, it's really, really great. And continued success to both of you. And we'd love to have you on again.
Thank you. Well,
Heck
thank
yeah.
you for having us.
My pleasure. Our pleasure. It is Kirsten. It is Derek, Fifth Wheel Living. And we'll certainly see them again, I'm sure. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. We'll be back in just a moment.
The RVACA is a charitable organization protecting the rights of the RV owners. We'll work with dealers and manufacturers to ensure quality control is in place prior to delivery of an RV. Additionally, the RVACA provides assistance to disaster relief victims. Visit rvaca.org.
We are back on the RV Advisor Podcast. Tom Alexander, along with the one, the only, Neve Carey-Zacco, our guest coordinator. And speaking of guest coordinating, you've got a lot coming up. I know we've got several shows in the queue, and we always look forward to speaking to our guests and repeat guests often, because backed by popular demand, right?
Absolutely. Our followers and listeners absolutely loved our guest that has thankfully joined or is going to join us again. So yeah, super excited to have them.
Yeah. It's Shay and America Martinez, and they are from Two Moms in a Trailer.
Super fun account.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, they're based in Kentucky, and they're going to be doing some traveling. I know that they're going to Wisconsin for a bit, and then down to Virginia Beach to spend the summer and work camping and all that kind of stuff. Or it's just a lot of traveling. Of course, the two kids and dogs and everything else, and it's a party. It's a party on wheels, is what it is. And we're looking forward to catching up with them again here on Monday's show. So, and I know that we've got some plans. Again, the social media site coming your way very soon, and we're just kind of, I guess, putting the finishing touches on it. It's been a labor of love, but it's also has some of us pulling our hair out just to make sure everything is just so right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, everything has been so busy lately. We're constantly getting new guests, hearing feedback from all of the different our members and followers on what they would like to see on our new social media account, and just reaching out to us via Instagram to be on our podcast. And yeah, it's been a really busy start to the new year, and the first quarter of the year at this point nearly. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, lots to come as we, we're working toward, I guess we're in the first quarter. We're in the first quarter of 2021, and I know that, lots of stuff coming up for the balance of the year, and including maybe a little travel even.
Oh yes,
for the show. We'll see what happens. We've got some ideas.
We sure do.
We have to run it past the powers that be, but we've got some ideas.
Yeah.
And, lots more to come right here on the RV Advisor Podcast. And, of course, Just Ask Gigi, developing new programming as well. So lots ahead in 2021. And as always, Neve, thank you so much for everything you do. And I know you've got more guests lined up. By the way, why don't you tell the folks where they can get a hold of you?
Yes, of course. My email and ncarey. Well, I had to think there for a second. It's the weekend. Ncarey, NCAREY at the RVAdvisor.com would be my direct email, or you can find me on the RV Advisor on Instagram or on Facebook or Twitter. You can DM or private message me, and yeah, if it's not me that sees the message, it most certainly gets to me as the podcast coordinator. So yeah, reach out to me anytime.
Absolutely. So if you have an interest in coming on the show, by all means, reach out to Neve and let's set it up. We can do that.
Absolutely.
All right. So there you go. We will see you next time, Neve. Thank you so much. For Neve Carey-Zacco, I'm Tom Alexander. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. So long, everybody.